Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Deborah Rouse here.
And Dr. James Rouse, thank you for joining us.
This is Love and Life Elevated, and we are grateful that you're joining us today. So we kind of wanted to recap what we talked about the first 2 weeks of this month, and then move on with week 3 and this idea of renewal as we're moving into Winter Solstice, which we're going to talk about our ritual because it's awesome.
And you know what's beautiful about today? I think it's an opportunity for all of us because, hey, you know what? Christmas is a week away. And for people who celebrate Christmas.
So is Hanukkah.
And so is Hanukkah. So there's that. And there's just a lot going on. I don't want to tell you, I know it has even taken 10 minutes to join us today. It's heroic on some level, right? So number one, thank you for making the time. And we really want this to be a place where this kind of can serve as an exhale in the midst of all the busyness and all the human doing. We get a chance to come together for a few minutes and practice our human being. And sweetheart, you got some amazing ideas to share based on some of the review, but also some really cool things to share that's going to be new to kind of propel us into the holiday season.
Thank you. So just to recap, if you recall, the first week of this renewal season, we talked about releasing and what we could let go of. We talked about rituals for letting go. And then last week, we talked about one of my favorite subjects, which is visioning. And we talked about creating vision boards, Pinterest boards, Canva boards, doing that on your own, doing that with family, just doing meditations around the visualization and so forth. What'd you learn from it, honey?
You know, the one thing it reminded me of, I often tell people I coach and with patients I work with, I always talk about this idea of decorating your life well. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of, let's face it, people talk about decorations right now all over the place, right? There, people, I think decorations come out right after Halloween and you're going, enough on the decorations. But I want to think about it a little bit differently. It's a lot about this whole idea, and sweetheart, you often remind me of something called enclothed cognition, which is putting the clothing on that helps you to feel like you're either professional or confident. The clothes make you just feel like you're your best self. And there's so much to be said for curating environments that also bring out your best self. So I think of this visioning idea, not only with vision boards and doing visioning, but also, what is in your sight of vision? When you look up from your desk, what are the first things you see? When you walk into your home, what are the first things you see? Because there's so much good data on how our brain and our heart and our entire physiology responds to seeing things that remind us of beautiful memories, things that inspire us, people that we love. And this idea of decorating your life well, it's also a really powerful practice to reinvigorate this time of the year.
Yes, absolutely. And so I know at the opening you talked about and you talk about it often, and I love that, and it's going from the human doing into the human being. But given what we just talked about with visioning and dreaming, I do want to talk about dreaming into doing.
Ooh.
Right? And I like to think of you as the momentum master. And so today is really about creating positive momentum and starting now. We're not waiting for some, calendar flip January 1st to all of a sudden think that we're just going to turn
It's go
on.
time.
It's go time, right? We want to start now so that by the time the new year hits, we have built that momentum. We've started creating habits and rituals to fulfill that vision of the year that lies ahead. So let's get into momentum, morning rituals, evening rituals, because you are the king and the master of rituals and momentum. And you set such a great example for
Thanks,
not
honey.
just me, because I'm still here in the home and I get to witness it every day, but our family and for your community that have the blessing of witnessing you and your beautiful messages on the daily. So I will let you kind of lead with what has worked for you. What are examples of some rituals that the common folk like us can implement?
That was generous, honey.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you. I think the things that I want you all to walk away with, because we are all just working on ourselves. This is the Earth School. Classes in session every single moment of our life. And here's the thing that I think I love more than anything I've learned in the area of momentum and rituals and habits is that So oftentimes we literally have 10 things that we think we need to do, which can be amazing if you're really good at kind of that way of creating momentum by each one giving you more energy. But for all of us who think about, well, what if I could just get the one thing going, and would that lead to other things? Well, absolutely. The science is unequivocally, amazingly clear that if we do one thing, first thing, early in the morning, that we equate with that actually stretches us, pushes up against the edges of our comfort, and we conscientiously know it is harder, we consciously know it is stretching us, and then we follow through, that ritual creates what they call an upward spiral. And that upward spiral is not only a momentum for our physiology and our physicality, it's tremendously momentum increasing for our emotions and our neurochemistry. Because what happens on the influence of a follow through is that your dopamine levels start to increase. And I want to make the distinction between dopamine that is clean and dopamine that is dirty. Dirty dopamine is when you first wake up and you grab your phone and you get that little spike of, ooh, there's a message, or oh, there's emails, or oh, there's an Instagram. That is dirty dopamine. That is not a sustainable dopamine. That is not going to carry you very far. You'll know. You should go back to your phone over and over again, hundreds of times a day, to get a more dirty dopamine hit. Clean dopamine is when you say to yourself, you know what? First thing upon rising, I'm going to go ahead and connect with my heart. I'm going to do a beautiful breathing practice. I'm going to get my diaphragm engaged. And I'm going to walk outdoors and watch the sunrise and just take in that and get my third eye to connect with the early morning sun. That is a stretch for a lot of us, if not all of us. And the idea of this literally starts this upward spiral. So I think what I look at my life, and yeah, I have years of doing a pretty rigorous ritual. I don't want people getting this idea that, oh my gosh, then I got to go do my yoga, then I got to do my calisthenics, then I got to do my weightlifting, then I got to do. No. Start with one thing that you know is a stretch, not such a stretch that's hard, but hard enough you're going, oh, this is pretty badass. This is me following through. This is me doing something that's unusual, and I'm present and witnessing this unusual thing. That upward spiral is the most powerful, clean dopamine momentum maker.
And I do love the idea that you've talked about often, and that's doing hard things first, because then it just makes the rest of the day fall into place. And as you said, it's not about setting lengthy goals for yourself, but it's being intentional with the
honey.
practice.
Yeah.
And so some examples that I was thinking of that we could talk about today, aside movement, I do think movement is number one. If you have the time in the morning to get that in, there's your clean dopamine, right? It's intentional, it's mood stimulating, and it really starts to energize your way in a positive way. But I also love to start the day with gratitude, and there's a few ways that we can do both really easily. One ties into one of your recent messages, which I also loved, and that's on, there's a short on your YouTube channel. But if you are a coffee or tea drinker, which I am both, and I do ritualize that in the morning, if you're brewing coffee or you're waiting for that hot water to boil, that's a perfect time to just write down your gratitude. That does not take long. You can just write out 2 sentences. One of our besties gave us this beautiful glass gratitude jar. It's just a big glass kind of vessel, and it says gratitude, and came with hundreds of little note cards. And so what we do is we just write it, we stick it in there, and it's kind of like that gratitude is circulating in the jar. But do you know what I was going to say is the other thing you can do while your coffee is brewing? And I think you're going to have time to do both. Write your gratitude, and what's the movement piece?
Oh my gosh, push-ups against the counter?
Push-ups against the counter, or squats.
Or squats. Yeah, because I just talked about squats. And we talked about the fact that just 10 squats every hour, profound. There's so many things we could talk about and go on for an hour, but let's just talk about the fact that one of the biggest things that we're going up against right now, insulin resistance is big this time of the year. A lot more processed carbohydrates, a lot more sugar, a lot more stress. If you can keep some type of engagement, incremental, I like to call them fitness snacks or movement snacks, several times a day, snack on movement, you're going to drive your glucose into the muscle. It's going to help your brain. It's going to help your emotions. It's going to help your metabolism. It's just going to help you to be a better human being for yourself first and foremost, and then the light will be distributed all around you.
Yeah, so that was a segue from.
I kind of ran with it.
No, because I was still in the morning ritual.
I know. I guess all in the afternoon now.
No. It's really good because I think what's key in the morning is to lead with protein and to really, if you don't balance your blood sugar first thing, you don't set yourself up for success later on. Because speaking with someone who has typical low blood sugar, it's hard to catch up and then equalize.
And you're chasing glucose
chasing it, and it's
the rest of the day.
No fun, honestly.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, I get jittery, all the things. But anyway, back to quickly in the morning. If you just have that little notebook by your hot water, or like James drinks a really powerful pre-workout.
We can call it dirty coffee.
Yeah, dirty coffee smoothie before his workout, and you could be doing. Well, you do things like that actually while you're drinking.
I read. I've got 4 books over here in my my day stand that literally get read every single morning while I'm sipping my protein enhanced, greens enhanced coffee, and it's a beautiful ritual. And usually the cat, which is laying over here,
if you see me looking down, it's because the cat keeps threatening to jump up. Now he's just rolling.
But he will sit in my lap. I'm doing my reading. I'm sipping my coffee. I'm just connecting with the universe. I'm just bringing God into my life, reminding me of the greatest momentum of my life, which is spirituality, and engaging with my spirit. So I move into my weightlifting, I move into my yoga, I move my meditation with the greatest momentum of all. For reasons bigger than ourselves. We know that intrinsic motivation is the one that is sustained. And honey, we've talked about this a million times to each other. What gets us up in the morning to be the version of ourselves that we love to be? It's usually, if not always, according to science, to be sustainable, it needs to be bigger than us. Connect with your kids, connect it to your partner, connect it to your furry cat, connect it to anything that you go, you know what? I want to be that version that I know is the most awakened, kind, loving, vital, vibrant for them. Because when you think about how you're coming into your highest version of you based on being that way for someone else that you love, it tends to pull us through the challenging times. It tends to keep us going during the good times. It allows us to have momentum based on the idea of true physiological, neurochemical motivation.
Absolutely. And it made me think of what we talked about last week. If you have made your vision board, or you just have a lovely image that you like to look at, that's another wonderful thing to do in the morning, is like while you're waiting for your next stage, maybe you're waiting, well, hopefully you're not letting the water run in your shower that long, because that's wasting water for it to heat up. However, look at your vision board. Take some really deep breaths. Maybe you're seated in a yoga pose, or you're in downward dog or child's pose, just focusing on your breathing. Those are really great ways to start the day. And then you move into the afternoon with your momentum, this positive energy, this positive momentum. And going back to what you just did with these clips on, the ultradian rhythm and the breaks. And the squatting and the fitness snacks. We love that. And staying hydrated.
All of those things matter. There's no way that you can look at the way your present life cannot be improved. I'm saying the same thing to myself. I love to be objective and look at areas of my life where I have work to do. And there's always someplace I can go to, oh my gosh, that's a great opportunity for doing those body weight squats. That's a great opportunity when someone pops into my mind. And one of the things I love to do, and I'm just going to speak a little bit about one of my deeper practices, and sweetheart, you know this about me. Once I've done my spirit work and connected with my best self, I often, if not most every time, send a text out to my family. And because that's exactly what it's all about. I mean, it's for me, that is my momentum. I think of our kids. I think of Ben, my daughter's fiance. I think of Debbie. So I send this out into the world because I've laid the foundation for now stepping into that version of me based on the people that I love. It pulls me into that uncomfortable place where I want to follow through. And all the ways in which these beautiful ways that we decorate our life can reflect back to us the person we want to be.
It's beautiful to be on the receiving end of that, because I think for all of us that we're on a group text, we get that, and it helps us want to be a better person as we move into the day. So it really motivates us. Like that's the juice, that's the stuff that we that we just really use, and it fortifies our spirits to move forward into the day like that.
Yeah, and I think we are fortunate. We have this family, this closeness in our family. So this is also a really ripe time for vulnerability, potentially loneliness and sadness, and a lot of trauma stuff comes up this time of year for people too. So if you're in that place where you're not feeling connected, please do your best to dig deep and find a person that you have that vulnerable exchange with, can create that. Reach out for that person, FaceTime that person, send that loving text. We all want to be seen right now, and we all want to be seen all the time. And sometimes we have to be the initiators of that trust walk, and it's not always reciprocated. But that's not really what it's all about. It's us making those steps, particularly this time of the year when a lot of people are going through some heavier stuff, harder stuff, darker stuff. Let us do our best to bring light when we're feeling that way and see how that initiates the type of more spiritual momentum this time of the year really asks of us.
100%. I think that these rituals that we're talking about really help support everyone no matter where they're at. So let's move into the evening practices and sort of what went well throughout the day, because that keeps us grounded.
You've got some great ones, honey.
And motivated for the next day. Well, we'll talk about yours soon too, because James really has, I was going to say a hard stop, but you really are flexible. But I like to really, by the end of the day, connect with you or a girlfriend or whatever and talk about what our daily wins were for the day. Like we always say, how'd your day go? What went well? What do you want to work on more? But celebrating your daily wins is super important.
It's critical. And there's a practice that Tufts University highly recommends. It's kind of this idea with the gratitude practice we talked about, self-recognition. It's literally looking specific places that you did well, where you had your wins, where you saw yourself following through. They call it recognition because there's a recognition. It really plants itself in our brain at the end of the day. So we fall asleep under the influence of this remembering of places that we did well, we had our wins, but most importantly, we were present to witness the wins. And this recognition or recognition is a powerful sleep elixir. It's an amazing way we wake up with a lot more zeal and gusto for the day ahead. And we tend to move into the sleep time in this bookend of going from the human doing to the human being with a lot less cortisol, with a lot more serotonin, which translates into melatonin later on. So calm into calm sleep. These are all the ways that recognizing ourselves really enhances our physiology.
Yeah, it trains the brain to celebrate progress, I would say.
Oh my gosh, I love the way you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's exactly it.
Right. And of course, we love gratitude practices along similar lines to that. And then you kind of have a real physical end of day ritual. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that isn't necessarily accessible for everyone.
No, but it's something
fabulous.
We worked hard and intentionally to create this ritual at night. So no later than 4 o'clock, I'm done. I've been up since 4, so that's a 12-hour stretch. And at 4 o'clock, I shut everything down. I immediately turn on the sauna, get up to 192 to 194 degrees. I go to infrared. I get in front of that for 10 minutes, listening to something that's inspirational, something that's uplifting. From there, I go to the hot tub, sit in there for a good 8 to 10 minutes, get my body really loosened up. I jump into the cold plunge over there for a good 2 to 3 minutes, good breathing practice. From there to the sauna, and then back into the cold plunge to finish. It takes an hour. And this isn't something I did when we had little kids. This isn't something we had any kids. This is something when we get to a point in our life, we start realizing that this is a beautiful thing. So let's talk about, you don't have a sauna, but what you have is a shower. You get a chance to actually just go into the shower and clean off the day and then maybe do some dry brushing, whatever the case may be. And if you want to take a shower.
Dry brush is so great.
So great.
Yeah.
So great. Underrated, not talked about enough. Or just take ice cold water. Get on your face. That's a beautiful, clean dopamine to kind of help challenge the cortisol that's been rising through the afternoon, helps to dissipate that. Mitochondria engagement, your circadian rhythm is back online just by doing this with some cold water. This is a way you're telling your body, you're telling your brain and your mind, I'm done doing. In the next 3 or 4 hours, my other ritual, I start dimming lights. I put on some dark glasses.
No, that's really important. I was going to say make the blue light
Oh my
detox.
gosh. I am such a zealot for bringing in the evening, even indoors. I want to sleep. I treasure sleep almost more than anything in terms of my rituals. that way of turning down the lights as you're getting into 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. And if you're going to watch television, you're going to watch a movie, put on your dark glasses that shade you or protect you from your blue light. Your quality of sleep will go up exponentially, I promise you.
Yeah, James is the king because we love a great TV series, I would say. And by 6:30, you have your dark glasses on. It's hard for me to actually see the TV if I have them on.
I look like such a goober. I look like such a goober, and I know it. You just accept me.
Who cares what you look like? But I think a great way to remember evening is release, peace, and appreciate. Actually, I like peace, release, and appreciation. So you have the gratitude, you have like breathing to bring you peace, the release, just like letting that day fall away. And I believe that is what your practice is when you're doing sauna, hot tub, red light, cold plunge, repeat. That is you're releasing the day. And you're awesome. You don't even talk about it after that. Like you don't have to process anything. Like that can wait for the morning.
It's amazing. It really does.
Really great.
You know what I love about it, honey, and then we can wrap up. I just realized we're 20 minutes. Sorry, everybody. Hope you're still here. I really think the state of our union is what I look at. At the beginning of our day, what's the state of your union? Your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul. And then during the day, sometimes the state of our union gets a little disintegrated. It's kind of all over the place. Things happen, things you can't control. The afternoon, late afternoon, early evening is a chance for you to have, again, create a state of your union that's integrated, that's vertical, that's aligned, principled, whatever it is that you can do. Because our brain can go on forever if we train it to go on forever, but our soul yearns to be recognized. These practices help you to recognize your soul, the recovery, the rejuvenation, the retreat, so you get a chance to come back the following day under the influence of that gritty grace that you really want to bring to each and every day. And I think in particular this time of the year, gritty grace is really, really necessary so we don't get lost in the conspicuous consumption of the time of the year and really just be a generative force for good on the planet, because ultimately that's what the season of lights and peace is really all about.
Yeah, so I would say let's take this transitional time. We're about to go into winter officially and make it one of renewal, of growth, of deep intention. And let's just crush it together. And I would love if you feel comfortable to hear what your rituals are, what your intentions are for the year ahead. I also wanted to say that if you go to Dr. James's website, which is drjamesrouse.com, he has a free little gift for you.
Thanks, honey.
And it's a really nice 30 days of, we're calling it the transformational walks. So if you go to his website, you'll be able to access that and download that for
so glad you remembered that.
Gift.
Please come by and grab that.
But we will be with you next week, which will be Christmas for the world, but not all of us celebrate. So we will be there to celebrate
just
with
a little,
everyone.
Just a little drive-by.
Just a little drive-by.
Just a little drive-by to say hello.
Sprinkling. And until then, we wish you much love and every blessing, and we'll see you soon.
I love you, sweetheart.
I love you too.
Have a beautiful afternoon.
Bye for
See you next
now.
week. All love. Bye now.